These are more times where cocky UFC fighters got destroyed and humbled by their opponents. Trash talking has been a part of the UFC forever, but if your fists play dumb, then you're probably going to end up taking that bitter humble pie, and these next 7 guys experienced that lesson firsthand. And the first of those guys was Eddie Alvarez back in 2016 when he tried to trash talk the king of trash talking, Conor McGregor. The Irishman's rise in the UFC was insane. He came, he saw, and he conquered every featherweight in the UFC, including champion Jose Aldo, who was knocked out in only 13 seconds. The cocky and brash Irishman didn't have an equal on the mic until he battled Eddie Alvarez for the lightweight belt.
This guy TKOs people. When I knock people out, they don't fucking move. Who the fuck is that guy?
McGregor drew first blood by warning that he'd beat Alvarez so badly that his wife and kids won't recognize him. McGregor's words rubbed Alvarez the wrong way, and the American's response was just as fiery.
I came for an apology from him. I want an apology for saying my wife and kids.
Suck these big Irish balls!
If you don't apologize, then I'm gonna make them beg.
Alvarez also called the Notorious One an ordinary fighter and the easiest payday of his life.
I was okay with the money. I was gonna negotiate the money. Only reason, because this guy's easy. It's easy money. He's not a championship fighter. He's never been, and he's never ever fought anyone in the UFC like me ever.
When the cage door closed, McGregor was anything but easy as he put on a striking clinic and stopped the champ by TKO in the second round. Needless to say, Alvarez was bruised, battered, and humbled.
Disappointed. I didn't fight a good fight. I went in with a plan and stick to the plan. I think I paid for it. So.
McGregor was obviously over the moon for putting on the best performance of his life, and he felt that he was only entering his prime.
I feel like I'm only reaching my prime. I'm only 28, not long 28, so I feel good.
Unfortunately, that was the last time we saw McGregor at the peak of his powers, and it wasn't long before things would come crashing down. Now, McGregor has fought UFC veteran Dustin Poirier 3 times in his career, and the two have had a love-hate relationship since the first time they met. The first fight was at featherweight in 2014, when McGregor got under Poirier's skin so badly that the Diamond absolutely hated him.
Don't get me wrong, I like the kid. He's a quiet little hillbilly from the back ass of nowhere. You know, I've nothing against the guy, you know what I mean?
I've never disliked somebody that much that I've ever fought.
But things worked out in McGregor's favor for the first fight, and he knocked Poirier out in the first round. Their second fight took place at lightweight years later at UFC 257, where Poirier was older and wiser, and when a nice guy McGregor was surprisingly friendly to Poirier. The Irishman even promised Poirier a $500,000 donation to his Good Fight Foundation. Even in the press conference, McGregor was nicer than we've ever seen.
Dustin's a hell of a competitor. I know there's questions here. He's heavier. He's up on a different weight, but he's more experienced. I feel I can do it.
Unfortunately for McGregor, Poirier proved to be the better fighter as he chopped McGregor's legs down like a tree before knocking him out in the second round. Now 1-1, the two continued to show respect to each other post-fight.
I'm honored to shake your hand. We will do it again. All right, cool, man. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Enjoy everything. For the best of you. Thank you, guys.
But things were quick to take a turn. A couple of months after UFC 257, things were back to square one after Poirier accused McGregor of not fulfilling his donation promise. McGregor fired the shot by saying he'd knock Poirier out in their trilogy, which is already scheduled for UFC 264. Poirier responded by saying, "That's a fun prediction, Conor. You also predicted a donation to my foundation, and you and your team stopped responding after the fight in January." McGregor fired back by saying that it was a donation and not a debt. Naturally, things got fiery pre-fight, with McGregor delivering some of his most volatile moments on the mic.
I don't give a fuck for him, to be honest. It's just how I am. He's a corpse, a dead body, a blank face. It's gonna get whooped and took out on a stretcher.
Joe, in 16 hours time, this man is gonna learn that if you disrespect a person's kindness and take it as a weakness, you must pay. Tomorrow night, I'm gonna make this man pay with his life, and I mean it. You're dead in that octagon tomorrow night.
For Poirier, it was purely business, but for McGregor, it was personal.
Is this getting personal for you at this point?
Nah, straight business, man. This is,
You're only a little bitch. Your wife is your husband. You're only a little bitch of a thing, a silly little hillbilly.
Mystic Mac even predicted this.
I'm gonna take him out in a stretcher. He's going out in a stretcher in this fight.
Guess who was the one stretched out? The actual battle between the two was competitive, but Poirier landed the biggest shots and even hurt McGregor before the Irishman broke his tibia seconds before the end of the first round and lost by a doctor's stoppage. McGregor was still fierce as he gave an iconic speech post-fight.
This is not over. If we have to take this outside with him, it's all outside. We don't give a
He believes that one of the kicks that he checked is what broke your leg.
There was no check. There was not one of them I checked. Your wife is in me DMs. Hey, baby, hit me back up. I'll chat to you later on.
Poirier was just as game.
Do you feel like the rivalry is over? Or do you feel like...
no, we are going to fight again, whether it's in the octagon or on the sidewalk. You don't say the stuff he said.
Now, McGregor's downfall reminds us of a British prospect who everybody thought was going to be a champion. Darren Till, whose rise in the UFC wasn't as spectacular as McGregor's, still gained a ton of hype around him, especially with wins against Donald Cerrone and Stephen Thompson, which earned him a shot at the welterweight title against Tyron Woodley at UFC 228. The UFC PR machine was fully backing Till because they allegedly wanted to get rid of Woodley since they thought the champ was too boring to draw big pay-per-view numbers. Till was way more exciting, and the UFC allegedly pressured the champ into taking the fight, according to his coach.
He felt kind of pressured into taking this fight. He knew that it wasn't really the right time for him, and it might not even have been the right fight for him, but he felt like he was kind of pressured into this fight. So he said, you know what? I'm going to keep my mouth shut, and I'm going to show the world what I'm made of.
Woodley certainly kept his mouth shut pre-fight, as Till chirped more than he should have, saying that he was the best welterweight in the division.
He's defended the belt so many times, he's beaten the best in the division. Why are you the guy to take the belt off him?
So I'm the best welterweight in the division. He's the champion, you know, respect as the champion, but that doesn't change anything. You know, I'm still coming to knock him clean out on September 8th.
Till also thought he was better than Woodley's former opponents like Carlos Condit.
He says he's come up against the Carlos Condits and all that, and yeah, big respect, but I'm a different animal from them. Like, I'm like a smart sniper. Like, Condit's good, he's got a load of strikes, but he hasn't got my intelligence and my power.
The Brit was so confident heading into the fight that he wanted nothing less than the best version of Tyron Woodley.
I need the best Tyron Woodley on that night. I need the best Tyron. Because I'm going to beat the best Tyron.
Darren's wish was Woodley's command as he brought the best in him, ending the hype train once and for all with a second round submission victory. In the post-fight interview, Woodley took a subtle jab at Dana White, who many thought wanted to see the champ lose.
Have you spoken to Dana White?
Oh, I haven't spoken to him yet. Did he already come in here?
No.
He left. Oh, no. I hadn't talked to him.
Till was humble in defeat as he found solace in the fact that all greats of the game lost at one point or another.
I am still going to be the greatest, I know that. You know, I just spoke to Woodley backstage and he's lost. John Jones has lost, George St. Pierre's lost. All the greats have lost. And you know, that's my first loss tonight, and you know, it just, right now, I'm still okay, but I'm just upset.
Unfortunately, the Brit failed to recover from the loss as he faced setbacks in 4 out of his next 5 fights before parting ways with the UFC. Now, none of this would have happened if Colby Covington didn't go for nasal surgery. The most chaotic personality in all of MMA was originally expected to face Woodley at UFC 228, but he unfortunately had to withdraw due to a surgery, and when he made his return, Kamaru Usman had dethroned Woodley and was the reigning champion. And that brings us to one of the most satisfying humblings on this list. The two first came face to face when Covington made a successful return to the cage by beating Robbie Lawler.
You're standing here and you're kind of talking now. When did your balls drop? Because the
only thing you're losing faster than your hairline is that Power Ranger belt. When do your balls drop? Stop faking injuries. Oh, you're out for 8 months you're out with 8 months with a hernia injury. It takes 6 weeks of recovery. Stop faking injuries. You're the Tyron Woodley 2.0.
The tiny war of words soon culminated into a full-fledged verbal battle ahead of UFC 245, where the two fought for the ultimate glory. When the cage door closed on fight night, both men went to a 5-round war where Usman badly rocked Chaos in the 5th round and landed vicious ground and pound until Mark Goddard stepped in and called the fight. Neither was Colby humbled, nor was he impressed by the referee.
Mark Goddard is seeing this right in front of his face that I'm getting hit in the back of the head. You can go look at the video of the 5th round. I take 4 shots in the back of the head and I'm completely coherent and I cover up the back of my head. And when I cover up the back of my head, he calls the fight. And I stand right up and I protest. I'm like, what are you doing? Why are you calling the fight? I'm winning the whole entire fight. There's less than a minute left in the fight.
The controversial ending and the overall competitiveness of the fight warranted a rematch, which took place a couple of years later at UFC 268, ahead of which the champ reminded his rival that he broke his jaw. However, Covington came back with a vicious personal jibe.
I broke your jaw.
You took a fake timeout. The only thing you broke is your daddy out of prison. Where's that jailbird at? Is he in the building? We need the scam artist here, he's just like his son.
For context, Covington's remark was directed at Usman's father Nasiru Usman, who was jailed in a pharmaceutical fraud a few years after he arrived in the US. The former UFC champ spent most of his teenage years without his father by his side, so Colby bringing it up was definitely a low blow. Covington even accused his opponent of using steroids.
We saw the photos yesterday. What's all those injection marks around your stomach, bro? Man, those look bad, dude. I saw you with Gage, you look like shit, man.
Usman did his talking inside the cage. The second bout once again produced fireworks, with both men landing hefty blows on each other, and the crowd definitely had a favorite during the fight. However, Usman did more and won the fight by a unanimous decision. Colby wasn't pleased with his performance and he promised to make a strong comeback.
I think we have unfinished business. I'll go 5 more rounds out in the parking lot right now, and I'm serious about that. I will see him again. I'm not done with him. I'll fight whoever it takes to get back there.
Usman was obviously happy to settle their rivalry once and for all, but he didn't shy away from praising his opponent for pushing him to his limit.
This guy's tough as nails. It's very, very tough. Like, let's be honest, you know, Ali needed a Frazier. You know, all these guys, you know, you can be the great ones, but there's always going to be that one guy that's going to be able to push you. And he is that guy.
A year before Usman's blockbuster rematch with Covington, a guy by the name of Khamzat Chimaev made a blistering start to his UFC career in 2020. In the same year and the same division as Chimaev, Kevin Holland had competed and won a record 5 fights at middleweight. And unlike Colby, Kevin Holland didn't want any more of the smoke after being dealt a lesson. Naturally, as top contenders in the same division, when the two came face to face in a hotel, they almost threw hands. The funny thing is, Chimaev thought Holland was a hotel staff member and the Chechen wanted the American to clean his room.
He pushed me and said I was the help. I mean, you know what I mean? We did start a cleaning business, but goddamn, I don't work at the hotel, you know what I mean? And don't tell the freaking people you don't know who I am when we got in a little thing at the thing. I don't know, man. The guy's, he's playing a role.
A couple of years later, the two somehow ended up facing each other after Chimaev messed up an opportunity to headline UFC 279 against Nate Diaz after he missed the welterweight limit by 7 pounds. On the day of the press conference, Chimaev, Holland, and Diaz ended up brawling backstage, which forced the UFC to cancel the presser. Dana said that Chimaev provoked Holland, and the American was having none of it.
I was just trying to tell everybody that, what are you doing? What's going on? Stop. Everybody stopped, but they were all so fired up. You know, Kevin and I are actually really close, you know what I mean? And he wasn't having it.
Holland later said that Chimaev only acts tough around cameras.
He only does this extra wannabe street shit. Media's around. Other than that, he doesn't do it. So, yeah. I mean, when you guys aren't around, he wants to do fist bumps and he wants to be your best friend. When you guys aren't around, when you guys are around, then all of a sudden he's like, I'm gonna rip your head off. You ain't ripping, dog. Let's be real. You want a paycheck just like the rest of these guys around here.
Chimaev claimed that Holland was the troublemaker and that he'd make him pay on fight night.
He talked a lot about me, so now he has to answer for that in the cage, you know.
When the cage door closed, Chimaev proved to be the better fighter and by a very wide margin. He absolutely steamrolled Holland before submitting him in the first round. A few months later, Holland reiterated that Chimaev was the one who started the backstage brawl, but he wouldn't want to mess with the Chechen again.
Did you start things or did you finish things with Khamzat Chimaev backstage?
No, it seems like he always finishes things. He starts them, finishes them. He just fuck. up, you know, I'm staying away from that guy.
Khamzat thankfully squashed the beef too.
The guy actually nice guy, so I like him, you know. So sometimes we don't like each other before the fights. It's all normal, you know. Then we're coming for the war to kill each other. So now this war over. Like, if he wants, like, he can come to my gym.
After taking out Holland, Khamzat targeted a fight against Alex Pereira, but since then, Powhatan has won and lost the middleweight title, and he currently reigns as the light heavyweight champion of the world, who put his belt on the line for the first time against Jamahal Hill at UFC 300. And let's just say that Hill definitely underrated Mr. Stonehands. The American, who had vacated his belt following an injury, was oozing with confidence heading into the fight.
You are known for knocking a lot of guys out, so do you see this fight playing out that same way where you're gonna knock out Alex?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, 100%. I see myself as superior everywhere. I see myself as a superior striker, as a superior grappler, a superior clinch worker, as a superior thinker, as everywhere. I'm superior to him in everywhere in this game, and I'm gonna show the levels to that.
Hill continued making claims that had many laughing their butts off.
Oh, you gonna knock him out?
Yeah, bro. I gotta shut him down at what he does the best and put him to sleep.
The American even went as far as saying that he was light years ahead of the Brazilian.
I've seen that he's not on my level. It's not close, and I can't wait to get in there tomorrow and show that.
And who can forget his shenanigans during the final face-off where he brought a stone-faced prop strung with a chain. The head, which Pereira has embraced looks like himself, was then thrown to the ground, shattering to pieces, indicating what Hill thought he was going to do to Pereira. The fight didn't last long as both men carefully made reads on one another, but then Pereira brushed off an apparent low blow like it was nothing and proceeded to drop Hill with his devastating left hook. A few more ground strikes and the fight was over. Mr. Sweet Dreams wants a rematch now, and he's willing to go to any lengths to earn it.
Honestly, for me now, it's not even about the gold strap. It's about getting back to that fight. I want to fight with Alex again, just because of the narrative surrounding it and everything. And I know what I was feeling in there, and I know what type of time is really on whenever we step in there again. So I just want to get to that fight. That's the fight that I really want.
Pereira currently holds wins against 5 UFC champions, and he was the fighter to end Israel Adesanya's winning run at middleweight. But prior to fighting Pereira, Izzy was a dominant champion who had to remind a loudmouth Paulo Costa why he was the best in the world. The Brazilian first called Adesanya out after his war against Yoel Romero at UFC 241, 2 months before Adesanya's title unification bout against Robert Whittaker at UFC 243. Costa warned Izzy of dire consequences in case he won the belt.
If Adesanya take this belt, anyway, I will kill him.
Immediately after winning the belt, Adesanya produced an absolute stinker of a title defense against Yoel Romero, which bored the hell out of everyone, including Costa, who called the champ shameful for only landing 48 strikes in the 5-round fight.
Adesanya is nothing. Adesanya is the most shameful champion I have seen ever. I will hit him very badly, and he will cry like a baby.
The two were eventually booked to fight at UFC 253, and Costa continued to ridicule Adesanya, this time targeting his earrings.
Yeah, I like his earrings. He's beautiful. I
said I can fit it on him.
Mom
I said
has one.
I'll fit this on him on Saturday night.
I think my mom has one very similar of his.
While Costa produced a few highlight reel moments outside of the cage, inside of it, it was one-way traffic, with Adesanya chopping his legs down in round 1 before displaying his sniper-like precision with counters and knocking his foe out cold in the second round. Adesanya followed up with some dry which didn't sit well with Costa, who called Izzy a human trash in the aftermath.
I come here to talk about the action that human trash did. This is mortal now. Nobody can stop me. I want my rematch.
Adesanya reacted to his win by saying that he was far better in every area.
I'm 10 steps ahead. I told you guys, I'm 10 steps ahead. You guys think these are just words.
If you enjoyed the video, check out more times where cocky UFC fighters got destroyed and humbled by their opponents.